One of the struggles of keeping an animal in a captive environment is providing it with the same dietary variety as it would receive in the wild. For bearded dragon owners, this can be made even more difficult by the fact that dragons will typically choose one or two favourite plants out of what you offer them from the supermarket. So for example, my bearded dragon Char will only eat lamb's lettuce and pea shoots out of the fridge. And of course, plenty of dragons just won't eat plant matter whatsoever. But what if I were to tell you that there's a simple solution to all of these problems, and that it could save you money? The solution, of course, is called growing weeds. I'd always struggled to get my bearded dragon to eat plant matter, but regardless of this, I still took the advice of my friend Pete Hawkins from the Reptile Networks to plant some weeds for Char just for the sake of improving his dietary variety. Even if he were to only nibble at them, it would be an improvement on the one or two types of plants that he would eat already. It was only once I actually began to give him the weeds that I realised that Char actually really does like plant matter. He's just quite particular in his preferences and won't eat anything that isn't extremely fresh. So if your dragon's one of those that'll only eat insects and won't go anywhere near anything with chlorophyll in it, then maybe all you've got to do is try growing your own. Now obviously the easiest way to get fresh weeds is just to go out looking for them, but if like me you aren't really aware of any particularly weedy patches, then growing them yourself is just as easy and costs very little. Jump online and have a look round for some tortoise seed mixes and choose one that's got the largest number of species of different plants in it. Anything safe for a tortoise to eat is almost certainly safe for a bearded dragon to eat as well. Once you've got your seeds, fill up a little planting trough with compost or topsoil to about an inch from the top. If you really want, you can add a little bit of fertiliser. But do remember that you are growing weeds here, and so anything more than a very tiny little pinch of the stuff is going to be completely overkill. Now give it all a good mix in. Spread the seeds over the surface of the planting medium and cover them with 1 centimetre or so of more topsoil or compost. Just keep in mind here that you really do not need to bury the seeds, as the way that they'd be growing in the wild is that they just land on the surface of soil and just grow right where they are. Keep the trough out of reach of pigeons whilst the seeds are germinating, as wood pigeons especially will eat your seedlings. After a couple of weeks, you can then begin plucking off leaves to feed to your bearded dragon. A single trough like this is sufficient to feed one bearded dragon for a couple of months. It is worth identifying any weeds before you feed them to your dragon to make sure that they are what you've planted and not something dangerous that has germinated from seeds blown in on the wind. I use an app called PlantNet for plant identification, and then I use a second app called the Tortoise Table for finding out whether any particular type of plant is safe to be fed to a tortoise, or in our case a bearded dragon. Try only to feed off side shoots or leaves to your dragon, and leave main growing tips so that the plants can flower later in the season. Flowers attract pollinators, which is good both for wildlife populations and also spreading around pollen from different types of plants onto the flowers, so that when you do eventually feed them to your reptile, you are getting the benefit of lots of different species of plants. This is the same concept as adding bee pollen to the diet, just executed in a more natural way. To this end, it is important that you don't wash the weeds, because if you do this, then you will be washing away any pollen and any other goodies that have come from nature. But of course, if you've any doubt that any wild reptiles or amphibians might have been going through the weeds, then do just give them a wash to be safe. Now my dragon loves eating weeds like this, and I am sure that yours will too. So all in all, this is a very simple way to improve the quality of your animal's life that doesn't really take up any space and doesn't really cost very much either. Now, if after watching this video you have tried this, then let me know down in the comments and tell me what your dragon thinks of it all. But with that, I've been JTB Reptiles teaching you how to follow nature's example, and I will see us all in the next video. Bye guys!